If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of Mind Pump, for the first 23 minutes, we have some fun conversation. We talk about dental dams. What the fuck is that thing?
It's an old school reference.
We talk about sex education when we were kids. Let me tell you, we learned nothing.
No.
We talk about our favorite scents. Yep, that's right. What we like to smell.
New car smell.
We talk about school dances. Justin could shake his booty. We talk about coming of age, and we talk about the old DVD series, Girls Gone Wild.
Sal had all those.
We also mentioned Organifi products in this episode. Now, we are sponsored by Organifi. They do offer great organic supplements, including a green juice and a protein powder that are fully organic, no artificial flavors or colors. If you want to get some of that, just go to OrganifiShop.com, enter the code MindPump for a massive discount. Then we get into the questions. The first question was pyramid sets versus straight sets. Which one is better for strength? Now, believe it or not, there is an answer if you're just going to compare the two with all the other controls being the same.
Believe it or not,
I'm walking on air. We do mention a little bit of how we program our workouts in this particular question. In particular, MAPS Anabolic, which is our foundational program, really maximizes how the central nervous system adapts and how to get stronger. In particular, Phase 1. It's our most popular program for a reason. You can get that at mindpumpmedia.com. Then we get into the second question. Does weighted cardio send a different signal to the body than regular cardio? In other words, we've talked about how too much cardio slows down the metabolism. Will putting weight on your body change that? Find out in this episode. Then we talk about the most overrated and underrated foods. I do want to make a note here. Don't put pineapple on pizza, you idiots. Then the final question.
That pisses me off.
What do we think about the Western medical practices of like cutting things out when they don't work anymore and pretending like we don't need them, like your gallbladder,
Wisdom teeth,
or your wisdom teeth, or your appendix,
testicles?
We have a great conversation in that particular one. And finally, check out our show notes. All of our episodes have our show notes at mindpumpmedia.com. All you got to do is click on the podcast tab, and each show is timestamped, so you can see exactly when we're talking about each topic. If you want to fast forward or rewind to a particular topic, it includes links to the people, the topics, and products that we talk about in this episode. Again, you can find it all at mindpumpmedia.com. Have you guys ever, this is a personal question, have you guys ever used a dental dam?
No. Who in the hell has ever actually used one?
That's what
I want to find somebody.
That's my question. Do you know what that is, Adam?
A dental dam?
You don't know what a dental dam is?
If you've ever used one, we need you to comment. Yeah, I mean,
well, what I have used that's
Instagram
different.
Do you know what a dental dam is?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you never took sex ed in school? They didn't teach you
They
what it
always
is?
mentioned it, and I'm like, who goes and buys one of those?
So I did take sex ed, but I don't ever remember reading about it or learning about a dental dam.
So it's basically
so you don't get
it's basically a piece of saran wrap that you put over a girl's
why can't you just use like a fruit
vagina
roll-up or something
when you go down on her? So it's how you have safe oral sex with the vagina.
I vaguely remember them showing that.
A fucking it's like
saran wrap it.
Yeah, like
did anybody ever do that?
That's what I'm wondering.
I've never seen a dental dam in real life, ever.
You know, I'm
gonna look it up right now.
It's fascinating.
I could see if you were a John, right? Like if you were heavy into the hooker market, if that was like a regular,
and that was like your thing, like
right,
you're gonna want to saran wrap it.
Yeah, that's about the. But I mean, I wonder if there's even a market for it. Did you Google it and see if we can get one?
Bro, they're like plastic.
Maybe we should. I mean, we're about safety and form here. Maybe we make a mind pump one.
They're like blue and stuff.
Do they smell?
Not before.
Dude, if you're a chick, how pissed are you when the dude pulls that out of his pocket?
Hold on a second.
Hold on. Yeah. Let me get my saran wrap.
He's all, hold on.
Oh my God, he's gonna murder me.
He's all, this is to
this
keep
goes
it
down there.
This is to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
not trying
Like
to smother you.
Yeah, exactly. It's nobody's ever used one. I don't think going down on anybody. Have they? I don't know anybody who's ever.
Please tell me how.
I don't even know where you buy one.
Please tell me how this even came up as a topic. What were you doing that made you even look this up?
Me and Justin. Justin, you brought it up.
I did.
How did you do that?
Oh, you put
or why?
You put it on
no
you?
Idea. I have no idea.
You in the market of a dental dam?
Maybe.
What's going on, dude?
These are just curious thoughts.
I
know it's a thing, right? I know that it was mentioned growing up, and I just who the hell has ever even used one? I'm just very curious.
We're gonna do like a random thing, like we're doing your motivational Mondays. Now we're gonna start doing like a
sex talk with
what's
Justin.
in Justin's head?
Again,
Tuesdays.
yes. Again, you do these things and you always find out who gets it and who doesn't. It's like hit and miss.
You and I connect on random shit like that though.
Well, that would have been a joke that would have went right over my head because I don't even remember that was what it was called.
So, do you guys remember sex ed though? What was it like for you? Do you remember anything?
The only memory I have of sex ed that like stands out is I remember the girl putting my teacher or whoever taught it putting a condom over a banana.
Ooh, I had a cucumber.
I remember that. I remember
what year was this? What grade?
Fifth.
You were in fifth grade?
Yeah,
fifth?
Yeah,
it was seventh for me.
Now, when they put a condom on a banana, fifth grade? Are you sure it was fifth?
100% I know it's fifth.
Because I know you get some sex ed fifth, but fifth usually they just teach you about puberty and shit.
When they put the condom on.
Seventh is when they do like dick shit.
Fifth grade.
Sex stuff.
Dick shit.
What kind of?
Fifth grade, we learned about STDs and how to put a condom on. I remember that. 100%.
Do you remember that AIDS video?
I don't know why you think that's so weird because that is definitely, I think that's the norm is that, because a lot of girls are already going through their period and so they're having
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think in fifth grade, if I recall, it was all about puberty. Mm-hmm. And then in seventh grade is when they talk about sex.
Why do I start to smell bad?
Exactly. Yeah, that was always a thing.
I have hair.
Yeah, exactly.
This is weird.
Oh, see, I don't remember them being different. I remember them being all. At least maybe that was my school couldn't afford that. It was we got all of it.
You got it all in one.
Puberty and sex ed.
We gotta attack this problem early.
Yeah, all together. Let's talk. If we're gonna, it makes sense to me. We're gonna be talking about their genitals. We may as well talk about their genitals together, right? That's what it was probably like.
Yeah, geez. I remember seventh grade. The teacher did this thing that I think is brilliant, where you could write any question you wanted to ask anonymously on a piece of paper. Then he would collect them all, and then at the end of the sex ed class, he would just answer these random questions. Yeah, and people would ask.
Hilarious stuff.
Yeah, can you get pregnant with anal sex? Or can what happens if I swallow semen? Or
I sat on, jizz and or whatever.
Yeah. And then
I'm going to be pregnant.
And then he would answer all these questions.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
It was really smart. I thought it was really smart.
It was good, yeah. Because people they asked real questions. It's funny because it sounds like they're trying to be funny, but I guarantee a lot of those were real questions.
Yeah, exactly. Because your hands get hairy.
What were you guys looking up on Amazon before I came in here? What is it? Oh, the dental dam on. That's what that is.
Assorted flavors.
Oh, see? It's like fruit roll-ups.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Assorted flavors.
A 5-pack of...
I wonder just buy those and eat them.
I wonder if they make it... Because those are taste like strawberries. I wonder if they make one that tastes like vagina. You know what I mean? That way it's kind of like the real thing.
Flavored one?
Yeah, you're putting it on, but you still get some of the experience.
Those, tell us, Sal, what does vagina
computer
taste like?
jockeys.
It's its own flavor.
It's like new car smell?
Yes.
new vagina smell.
It's
fresh.
It's one of those things you
can go
when you taste it.
You know you can go to the car wash and you can ask for that, right? I'll have vanilla, strawberry, and I'll have new car smell.
New car smell.
Right when you open the door.
That's a smell.
It's some vagina in here.
By the way, do you know what new car smell is? It's the fucking chemical fumes coming off your new car.
From the leather or plastic.
Yeah, it's a bunch of xenoestrogens that are coming through the air.
The irony is,
it's intoxicating.
I love it. I love the smell of a new car and a pair of new sneakers are two of my favorite smells.
And exhaust.
You love
gasoline.
the chemicals.
I do.
I love
the chemical smell.
I love gasoline.
I do. Explains why I like Diet Coke still, I think maybe. That's what it is. It's too much. I smelled too much leather in my life.
Yeah.
And sneakers.
Maybe you want that, you know what I mean? You want the chemicals.
I don't know. You think that's what it is? You think there's not something maybe it's something to do with it being so clean and fresh? It has something to do with that.
You associate the two?
Yeah.
With being clean and fresh?
That's what I think I think it's more of that. I think it's more of an association thing where it's like...
Not like pine sol smell or something like that? That's not clean and fresh?
Yeah, see, I don't like that. That's chemically smell. That's like a chemical smell.
You don't like pine sol? What about bleach? I hate bleach.
Yeah, no, bleach and
Bleach
pine
has got a
sol is
weird-
way too strong.
Got a weird smell.
Yeah.
No.
What
I
about...
feel like those have such a strong smell. I
Fresh
feel like
cut
you taste it. Like I like this is how I am too. Like, so I don't like women's perfume. I don't like women's perfume on women. Or
You like them on men?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, much better.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I don't like perfume at all. I don't like cologne either, so I don't wear any cologne. But I do like real soft scents. So like Katrina wears like lotions that are scented. So I like the Victoria's Secret lotion. So I like a nice smell, but I don't like a smell that's so strong I can taste it in my mouth.
Yeah.
You know, like when that girl walks by and she's got that
I hate
fucking,
that.
It's usually
the
old ladies.
the latest
The
fucking
old ladies that
Nordstrom
just-
popular fucking perfume spray, and you feel like you're gagging on it. You know, you get in an elevator.
Yeah.
You're right,
Oh,
Justin. It
God.
is old ladies.
Yeah,
that
it's
wear
like
that shit.
really sweet. Like, and it. I remember just like hugging an old
What
lady.
was that, Beavis?
I just had this thought and I laughed.
I know. I saw this.
Yeah.
Picture naked old lady right there.
Come on, dude.
I remember that one time.
Okay, I'm done.
Old lady, no, keep going. So what do you do? The old ladies like the floral, strong floral.
Yeah, because
smell.
then it's like you get the makeup and all that like makes its way onto your cheek, and then you get the fucking like really strong, flowery, like super sweet smell, and it like lasts all day. Like penetrates your skin.
Oh, see, my grandma smelled good. My grandma smelled like
wasn't my grandma, it was
oil,
somebody else's.
oil of Olay.
Oil of Olay?
Yeah.
My grandma wears that too.
So when
is
a
that?
young chick
you
wears
don't know
that,
what Oil of Olay is?
No,
Of
I
course
mean I've
not.
seen the commercial.
Of course not. Look at your skin. How would you know?
I'm gatered out, dude. I'm dry.
whenever I smell that on like a younger girl, it throws me off like big time because I'm so used to smelling like my 70-year-old grandmother who smells like that. So when a young girl wears, so if you're young, don't wear Oil of Olay.
So I like kind of fruity smells. You know, like if you like, the body sprays that smell fruity. But it's because I have an association. Because the first time, like probably most guys, the first time I went to a strip club,
stripper. Yeah.
I was 18. And by the way, this is just what happens when you're a young dude. Actually, it happens to old guys too. You think for sure she likes you, like for sure. And there was this one stripper, and she was dancing and stuff, and I got lap dances, and she smelled fruity, and she gave me all this attention and told me how hot I was and this and that. And I thought for sure, like, wow. She's breaking the rules right now because she likes me, dude. Like, she would totally make out with me if the bouncer wasn't looking. Anyway, that smell stayed on me, and now whenever I smell not floral, but fruity scents.
No,
I
you
remember
know
that.
what I remember? The herbal essence. Like this one girl had really, really long, straight blonde hair that was just like, she would give me a hug every now and then.
You just smell her hair,
and I would
like a creep.
Yeah, it was weird. No, I was young. I was like 17 or something, and I was just like getting hugs like in class, and she hugged me, and it was just like, oh my god, I just distinctively remembered like it was intoxicating. I was
Is that still a thing for young teenage boy? Like not, I would say like your son should be going through this right now.
Where they just hug everybody.
Well, do you remember that? Remember? So I remember.
It was the way you touched the girl.
I know. You just reminded me of a memory that I had not even thought about in such a long time. That I remember, and this is probably, so I'd love to hear from a kid that's between 5th grade and probably 8th grade right here, because I think that's when it was most popular. Because by getting into high school, you're fucking around doing shit, right? But literally from 4th to like 8th grade, it was like the thing to like hug all the girls. Yeah. To the point where like that's how I left school every day. I had like my
you counted it.
Yeah, exactly. That was like the big deal. Like, oh, I hugged so and so. Oh my god, yeah, I hugged her today.
Yeah, you'd have one like in sight. You're like, I haven't hugged her ever. I'm gonna do this. Today's the day.
And these poor girls are thinking like, he's so nice.
It's totally.
And then meanwhile, you're leaving with your buddy like, I felt her boobs on my chest.
That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on. And I wonder if that's still a thing. Like, is it still a thing for boys to hug the cute girls when you're younger because you're too afraid to do anything else?
I don't know.
I'm not kissing them or fooling around with them. I'm just hugging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I bet they're a little less physical now, because everybody's all in their phones. And shit.
He texted me.
Right. I'm wondering now that we do the emoji thing and the text messages and the Instagramming, like now it's just got rid of hugging.
Maybe.
This would be an interesting study.
Yeah,
I
we
would
do
think
that.
that you would have something for this.
You're looking at me.
Yes.
But, actually, they did. They did a study. No, I don't know. No, I remember that, and I had a.
There's got to be a hugging study.
In
Doug.
PE. Did you guys ever have this in PE? We had someone come and teach us how to do dancing. Like we had this teacher. God, I remember his name, Mr. Penny. Mr. Penny came and taught us line dancing and what's the one where you go arm in arm and you square dancing.
Oh yeah.
And we all had to square dance, and it was like my first time ever holding like hot
guys did
girls'
that-
hands and fucking arm in arm and shit.
You guys did that in elementary?
No, this was like maybe it was 6th grade or 7th grade. It was pretty young, but you're like, you're doing the arm in arm thing, switching off, and then at some point you're gonna end up being arm in arm with the super hot,
they did-
untouchable girl of school, and you got to touch her arm. And it was
They
like this
actually
big deal.
taught you how to do it. Like we just would go to dances and like not know what we're doing.
Yeah. No, we
that's
did dances too, but
Yeah.
this was like PE class. We actually had a guy come and teach us. He taught us how to do the electric slide
Nice.
and line dancing. And
Isn't it funny when you think about traditions that we've kept for so many generations, like high school or junior high, like dances, and how like what is the driving force behind why we've implemented these traditions and what really excites people to have them and why we don't ever get rid of them?
like why do we have dances?
Yeah, like why do we have dances in 5th and 6th grade? Like what's going on there?
I feel like it's one of those situations where we're trying to organize them, hanging out together that we can control, because if we don't, then they're going to like do crazy shit without us, even though it doesn't really matter.
That's why I find it like really think about that, right? Like really think like why do we have
It's like the purge.
like why do we think
Get it all out here, kids, when we're watching.
and from a kid's perspective, what do you think the whole time you just can't wait to get to that dance with the girl that you asked to go there because you're going to get to slow dance. I don't give a fuck about all the fast dancing shit. Yeah. Like I just can't wait
especially if you can't dance.
Right, especially if you can't dance. Like I cannot.
Because I feel like Justin couldn't wait for the fast dancing because you have moves, right?
I had to bust it
He's
out.
the guy that got out to the fast dancing and then all the slow dancing when he went and sat back down.
Yeah.
doing the worm and shit.
I bet you were the guy that would go out and fast dance because
Yeah,
you knew
man.
the girls would love it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I would get attention.
Hashtag fast dance.
Yeah.
Fast dancer.
Like, look at that white dude. He can
Yeah.
move.
Oh yeah, man. I was busting a move.
It's so.
But think about that though, as a kid, and then that's all. The boy, all you're thinking about is I can't wait to get there and press myself against these girls.
So it's
for
Press myself. Yeah, the freak dancing thing. Oh, that was way inappropriate.
It's funny because years ago I had a client who had a teenage daughter who got her heart broken by some dude, and she was explaining to the girl like, "Listen, most boys are like this. Like this is all they're interested in." And I had this conversation with her, and my point of view was when you're a teenage boy, it's not like in your mind you're thinking, I'm going to trick her so that I can do things with her. They're not even thinking that. Teenage boys literally think that they really like the girl, and then once they get what they want, they're like, I don't really like her anymore. It's like a biological trick that we can't even control.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I was explaining that to her. I was like, listen, I don't think these guys necessarily, some of them are like mean-spirited, but some of them, the guy who told her he really loves her, he thought he did until he did what he did with her.
Well, especially-
and then he doesn't anymore.
especially at that age, right? Because it's different. Maybe when you start getting to high school and a kid's got or a young man has got experience, right?
Yeah.
Where he's had several girlfriends and he's been sexually active and then now he has a thirst for it and then now it becomes like a macho thing.
Sure.
Who and then it does become
It can, yeah.
then it can become manipulative or can become I think unhealthy or whatever. But I think at you're talking 4th, 5th, 6th grade, like, oh my God, like at that point, you're right. I think too, you're so intrigued by the opposite. You're finally interested in the opposite sex. Because just 2 years before that, whenever that was going on, you thought girls were gross, right? So
Yeah.
at one point,
all of a sudden.
all of a sudden, there's something that happened, which is funny because as a kid, when you're going through that process, you don't have the self-awareness yet to like put that all together. Like, well, that's weird. I think last year I thought she
Well, it's like
was
when you're
gross.
watching a movie and they start making out and having a sex scene or whatever. Like before, I remember like distinctively, I used to be like, like fast forward, and then like there was like 1 year where I was just
And then you're 35, and then all we do is fast forward the other stuff
and
to
then-
get to that.
yeah. No, that's all I watch. It's like Hollywood'sHottest.com.
Oh, dude, it's
Remember
so,
that?
What, Hollywood's Hottest?
Oh, come on.
That
dude.
website?
Don't tell me I was the only one.
Was that the site that had
They
all the
like,
nude
shows
scenes?
like boobs, for like famous actresses. And
Oh
stuff.
my
Yeah.
God, I do remember that.
It's so ridiculous.
That's such an old site. I wonder if it still exists.
I doubt it.
Oh my God.
Hollywood's Hottest.
Yeah, that was right around the whole whatever with that popular Girls Gone Wild thing.
Oh God!
Yeah.
You know, I met the guys who shot that because they shot.
The Girls Gone Wild?
Yeah,
Really?
dude, those guys were really smart.
They got
some
big
heat,
trouble.
right? Yeah.
Big trouble. Didn't they lose all their money?
No, I don't think they got sued big time for something, but that dude had made so much money already, and I think he had pivoted into other things too. So I had to look him up. I can't remember. I'm totally talking out my ass right now because I don't remember their names. I don't remember what he pivoted over to, and I do know he went through a major lawsuit like you're talking about, but I don't remember what it was for and
What
how
a
much.
scumbag.
Oh, what
I know,
what
right?
a brilliant idea!
Brilliant idea.
Brilliant,
totally.
Scumbag, though.
Exploiting
do you
these
really
poor
think
girls.
scumbag? Do you think scumbag when that many people are looking at?
exploiting them, though.
I mean, are you though? When you
Well, here's what it is. Okay, here's what it is.
I mean, they're young.
I mean, this is definitely like touching the third rail a little bit right
It
here
is.
because I know some people get sensitive about this stuff.
So they got in trouble because I think one of the girls was underage, but she lied and showed a fake ID or something like that. But if they were legal, if they were not intoxicated when they signed the agreement, they were in agreement for doing these things, and then they get drunk or whatever. Let me tell you why he's a scumbag. Because you've got all these super hammered people acting stupid and girls showing their boobs or whatever when they're smashed. And like when I see that, even when I was younger, I kind of made me feel uneasy. Like, oh, they're really, you know what I mean? It's like they're really drunk, or I don't know. So this guy's like taking advantage of that. That's why it comes across as a scumbag.
See, because I look at it like, okay, we fast forward to our time now where we have Instagram and all this stuff, social media stuff, and I see what some of these girls put out there to get attention on their Instagram, and they're sober and more than willing to do it. And I think all I think is this guy who we're talking about saw that and decided, hey, I'm going to make a business out of this by gathering all these girls that are like this and putting them on a video.
Well, you see it just going on these spring break, trips.
It's feeding into the same thing, and it's just somebody
Just trying to
who's
recreate
organized it in a sense,
Yeah.
right? So it's like I don't know how much of a scumbag I think someone.
Think about it this way. Would you want this guy like hanging out with like your daughter and your wife and you'd be like, maybe you knew him, but you also know he's a dirtbag. Like he's kind of a dirtbag. You know what I'm saying? It's legal, but he's a dirtbag.
Well, see, I don't know. See, I disagree. I would never judge someone like that until I met them. Well, I wouldn't judge anyone. Period,
You're right.
but-
I don't know the guy or whatever.
Right,
but he comes across
because
as a dirtbag.
somebody was going to provide that type of service, whether he did it or someone else did it. So you have to ask yourself, shit. I talk to my uncle all the time about business, and the joke, between him and I, because he always references the porn industry for who's doing what and who's making
They're
moves.
like the leaders.
They are. He's like,
I know.
when you talk about consuming entertainment, he goes, always pay attention to the porn industry. And he goes, I know that sounds crazy because you're in a total different business now because you're in health and fitness, but they are always ahead of most businesses when it comes to the entertainment side of consumption for consumers, right? So entertainment for consumers. So I think a guy like that who does that, I don't know if I judge him so much to think that he's necessarily a scumbag for doing that. I think he saw an opportunity. It's like these girls are getting drunk, showing their tits all over the place, and people are doing it anyways. I'm just going to make a cool video and edit it, throw it all together, sign waivers, and then make.
What it is? It just makes people feel uncomfortable. It makes me a little uncomfortable, and maybe I wouldn't feel so uncomfortable if I didn't have a daughter who I know at some point.
No, I see your angle of that.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable hanging out, like just based off of.
No, because like think about it, like kids, totally good kids, normal, healthy kids from good families, sometimes party, get crazy, especially when they're young and they don't know their limits and they drink, and then you do stupid shit. We've all done it. We've all done shit. Just luckily for us, they didn't have iPhone cameras and shit around us, because trust me, I'm sure we could have all gotten filmed.
We got out of that like by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah, so it just makes me uncomfortable, because I'm sure my daughter, when she's in college and she'll go enjoy herself, she may do some shit that's embarrassing to her later. in life, and it just makes me feel uncomfortable. So I hear what you're saying. I just get uncomfortable with it. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like businesses like that, though, expose that for us and gives you a different perspective that you may not have had before. And it also gives you an example to maybe even show like your daughter, like, see, honey, you don't want to be like these girls.
Let's go to college.
Right. There are going to be times where you drink and you're having a good time.
Someone's going to have a camera.
Right. Sounds like a good idea, but do you really want to be this girl? See, and you give her like a
so that's what I tell. So I've been doing that with my kids, my son in particular.
And then you show the same video to your son. You say, "Son, this is what you're going to be looking for when you go to school." Like
this is Arizona State.
Yes, they're all over. They're all over the place.
Shout out to Arizona
Lots
State
of little
Devils.
girls that have daddy issues that are running all over the place.
Here's what I tell you know what I told my son the other day just to scare him. I'm like, listen, everything you do on the internet is saved by someone, just to scare him. You know what I mean? Totally. Like somebody has it somewhere. So just remember that.
I know. Yeah.
It's true, though. It is true, by the way.
It's a scary thing.
Yeah, your porn searches.
Bring on the bird.
Here comes the exposing bird.
Today's Quah is being brought to you by Chimera Coffee. It's the only coffee that is infused with all natural nootropics for a cleaner, calmer, and more focused buzz without the crash. Click the Chimera link at mindpumpmedia.com and input the discount code MINDPUMP at checkout for 10% off.
It's the motherfucking Quah.
The eagle has landed.
Our first question is from Klepzolius Rex.
Oh, you did figure out how to say that.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Wow.
Pyramid sets versus straight sets. Which is better for strength?
That's a great question.
It is a great question.
So, before I give my answer to this, there's one kind of caveat. Both can be more effective for strength depending on what phase you're training in and how you've been training. So if it's a new stimulus, to you or a new way to train, you're going to get more strength gains from it.
Yeah.
Okay. That being said, if you had all things being equal, everything's equal, you had groups of people who have trained the same way, they're all, similar genetics, whatever, and we're just looking at pure strength, not hypertrophy, I have to go with straight sets because this is the way that the most calculated strength athletes train. Olympic lifters and even power lifters tend to train this way, where they'll take a weight that they can lift for sub-maximal, intensity. Let's say like a power lifter is going to do sets of 3, even though they maybe go to 5 for failure, and they'll keep using that same weight for set after set after set. Olympic lifters do this as well. Well, they'll take a weight and they'll practice this weight over and over again because what they're looking for...
It's more like skills training.
They're looking for like maximal central nervous system adaptation and skill, which you're going to get more skill if you keep everything the same and perfect the movement versus pyramiding. Pyramiding may have more benefit for hypertrophy, which may be why bodybuilders tend to do that.
They've done studies like this before where the pyramid sets, but again, they're always a 4 to 8 week type of a study, right? And I think what remains true, and I'm glad we did this question because I feel like now that we've done like 600 episodes, when we first started, I felt like we spent a lot. This was before we even started monetizing, right? We would talk a lot about the principles of maps and why and how we created that through these types of questions. And I feel like we got away from talking about some of this basic knowledge because we feel like we've kind of drilled it. But I forget that there's a lot of people that have probably not listened to episodes 1 through 100. And this is really, if you're just coming into Mind Pump in the last 6 months, the real success behind everything that we did when we first started releasing all the episodes and then maps came out was the brilliance in the programming. And part of the brilliance in the programming is really that, we took a lot of philosophies that we felt that were overlooked, that people don't realize are very, very important in the game of consistently seeing gains and results. Anybody can throw a 4 to 6 week program together that makes you soar. Like that's fucking easy. Yeah. But give me something where I'm going to consistently see change. And when are you going to follow something that's going to consistently give you change? there are certain rules and stuff that you need to follow. And talking about pyramid sets and straight sets, this is one of them. Either one of those would be great, but guess what? After about 4 weeks of doing that consistently in all of your exercises, the returns are going to start to diminish. So then understanding how to phase things in and out of your workouts and that was the idea. And what was so great about MAPS is that it's not just one workout, it's literally a program, and we teach you how to phase workouts over the course of
along those lines, like when you're talking about the difference between the two of them, like there is like a slight difference. Like you may actually benefit more if your focus is more in the hypertrophy, and like that's your ultimate goal. And like and that's why, like, if you want to like get down to where we always talk about splitting hairs, like there could be, more benefit if I want to focus more on getting stronger in like straight sets and just working on the skill and performance of it and really mastering that. I definitely tend to lean more on that end of it if I'm in more of a strength phase, more of a central nervous system type of adaptation. So just deciphering like and kind of weighing it out based off of like your goal or where you are in your training program is important. And that's why, we went through and we combed through all of these different modalities, different techniques, different protocols to kind of decipher how they would all blend and marry together the best, and how we could create like a better recipe.
Well, it's like asking, this question is very similar, or would it be the same as like someone asking me, Adam, do you think that phase 3 of MAPS, it builds more muscle than phase 1 of MAPS? Mm-hmm. I could argue either one. Right. I could tell you, depending on the person who's what I'm getting them before, right? Like what they were doing before, I can make the argument that phase 3 builds more muscle than phase 1, and vice versa. It's really about what signal have you been sending to your body over the last.
What have you been doing?
You have to consider two things. You can't just consider the signal. That's very important. Okay, so these are both very important. The signal is important, but also the subject that you're applying the signal to is also very important. They're both very important factors. You can't just factor one of those things. So if you take someone that always trains straight sets, always trains low reps, and you ask me the same question in a short period of time, and say, okay, for the next 4 weeks, is this person going to build more strength doing straight sets, low reps, or doing pyramid sets for, a little bit of higher reps? I'm going to tell you the pyramid sets because that person's been training straight sets for so long. You have to consider both factors. But again, if everything's equal, straight sets build more of that strength, that skill aspect that is so important to strength. A very, very large component of strength comes from the skill of strength. And you can see this, everyday life. Like if you look at, in extreme cases, if you look at an athlete swinging a bat, you could take an athlete who's played baseball for years, and they could swing a bat, and they'll swing it much harder than a bodybuilder who's much, much stronger. There's a lot of skill involved in swinging a bat, a lot of skill that's involved in making that bat move. Same thing in that's true for things like squats, bench press, deadlifts, and all those different things. So straight sets, if all things are considered, are probably better for strength, but overall long term, you should definitely employ both. Pyramid sets are great for like phase 3 of MAPS anabolic or MAPS aesthetic, for example, when you're trying to get more of a pump. That's when I like to play around with the reps a little bit, because now I'm squeezing more blood into the muscle.
They really both belong somewhere in your programming. And again, going back to what was so special about MAPS, and also why I don't care who you are, what your goal is, whether it be strength, hypertrophy, endurance type training. I 100% stand by. I think everybody should go through all of the programs, because there's something that is going to contribute to all of those goals. Doesn't matter if it's strength, doesn't matter if it's hypertrophy, fat loss, doesn't matter what it is. Every one of the phases are designed that they will contribute. Now, when you do these, when we get it, and this is what I don't like about, what the fitness industry has done, is we've created all these camps. You have literally people that call it strength camp, and pyramid setting, and you have these different camps that are out there, and this is their way of training because there's studies to show that when you do straight sets, this is the best way to build strength. Well, yeah, of course, in a 6-week study compared to somebody else who's doing circuit-based training or some bullshit.
So I fell into a lot of these traps.
Yeah, all of us did.
I would read like bodybuilding magazines, and they'd say to build mass, the best rep range is this. And guess which rep range I fucking stayed in?
Right, I trained
forever.
I trained literally 6 to 8 reps for fucking years.
Because that was the mass.
Because I read a study that said to build the most amount of mass, this is the training where you should be. This rest period, this way. And so, like a young kid who read his first fucking
8
study,
to 10 for me. Yeah.
I stuck in this 6 to 8 forever because I read a study to back it up and support it.
And then the one time you switched to the higher reps,
right, and then
probably blew up.
Oh yeah, then years later I read something else that was conflicting with that and said, well, no, actually you could build a ton of muscle this way. And I'm like, oh shit, well, I've never even, I don't want to get small muscles. I don't want to tone my muscles. I want big muscles. Yeah. I shouldn't be doing, and then I did 15 reps. Then boom, all of a sudden I got all this crazy size. Then what did I do? I married there. Then I stayed in there for years again. You know what I'm saying? So I think when we get all passionate about topics like this and frustrated when we get into these splitting hair type of questions, is that's what's wrong with this industry. Is they want to make these debates on which is better for this. Well, fuck it. It depends. I can make the argument on either one depending on who I'm speaking to, and the real answer is everybody should experience the benefits of all of them, and then you should just learn to phase them in and out of your workouts.
Learn what benefits you get from different types of training, and then learn when to inject those into your routine. So if I know when I first start a new adaptation phase, and these are the things that I get, and then I notice after this certain period of time, those effects start to drop off, then I switch to a different modality.
You understand the difference of the different techniques and why, like what you're actually trying to accomplish with that.
Do you know what I want? If you ask me, you know what I want for people that listen to Mind Pump? I want the cycle to be broken. There is a cycle that is going on, and I still hear it, even amongst our own listeners. So I'm calling you out if this is one of these people. The idea of MAPS and to go through the programming is not to say that this MAPS is better than that MAPS or our program is better than this program. It's to teach you how to program for yourself, for your body. The idea is that you go through it. So my goal to break this cycle of what I see, which is the thing in the gym to talk about is, oh yeah, I'm running Jim Stepani's this, or oh yeah, I'm running Lane Norton's this, or oh I'm running Ben Pekulski's this, is to break the fucking cycle and learn to create your own programs. And that was really the mission behind MAPS, was to take you through all these different types of programs, and so you understand the philosophies behind all of them, apply them to yourself, follow them to a T, and then learn how to modify, manipulate.
And especially pay attention to what feels like you haven't done, like what feels like super new and fresh, and like something that are challenging, or something that you would never do. Like that's something I feel like pay attention to.
I feel like somebody, and I know this sounds like a fucking commercial right now, but we haven't talked about this in a while. I feel like somebody who's gone through all of the MAPS programs should never have to do another program themselves. Doesn't mean they have to follow MAPS to a T for the rest of their life, but if you go through every one,
gone through enough variety,
if you've gone through every one of the MAPS programs and understands the philosophy behind them, you should never have to buy a program ever again the rest of your life. You should have the knowledge, if you've been listening to the show, utilizing all the tools that we put out there, to forever create your own program.
MAPS Super Bundle.
I remember when I was specifically when I was a kid, I read an article on German volume training. You guys have heard of that, right?
Yeah.
Which employs a lot of this.
Is great.
So what they would do is they would say, so instead of doing 3 exercises for 3 sets each, which is 9 sets for shoulders, pick one exercise and just do 9 sets. Pick a particular weight, do the same reps, same weight, all 9 sets. And I remember reading the article, and I did it, and boom, I got all these freaking gains. And then I made the same mistake, dude. I stayed there for way too long, and this was like the same cycle that I just repeated over and over again, where I'd do something for so long that not only did I get no results, I'd get negative results, and then at some point someone would convince me to try something else, and then it would work. And then that would be the one that I would do forever as well. And it was just like so much wasted time doing that. So
I just, people that go through the program, like take it on like that. Don't take it on as another, one of our friends once said this to me, and I think it's forever offended me, and that's why I talk about it so much, is referred to our programs as like ice cream, or like programs in general as ice cream, that everybody has their own flavor. And my answer to that is that, that's the problem with the fitness industry, is everybody looks at programs like they're fucking ice cream. And the reality is it's not like that at all. That's a majority of the shit out there is just a bunch of flavors, but there is a way to learn how to program yourself. And that's the idea of going through the programs, is for you to learn that process. And
the exercise science, like, I feel like that's a term that not many people like hold as like, legit anymore, like exercise being a science. And because of the fact that any fucking idiot on Instagram can just do some like lunge jumps or whatever and like justify some sort of a burn calorie sort of goal and attach something to it, but it's like there actually is a reason and a rhyme for the way that we intend to train our body to adapt and to respond like very specifically to this type of stimulus that we're introducing it towards.
I hate this other thing that I see all the time too, which is that do what you love, or do what you'll consistently do. Well, yes, we've said that on the show before, that
step one.
Yeah, doing something that's you do consistently is better than you doing something inconsistently. So yeah, no shit. But the problem with that is people find something, whatever it is, and I'm talking about all modalities, they find something that they like. And why do they like it? Because it showed them some sort of results, right? They sign up for this new Orange Theory class, they take this CrossFit class, they take, they buy someone's new program online, they follow it, and whoa, for the first time they did something consistently, right? And it showed them results, and now they're married to that. Like, no, don't stop there. Yes, be consistent. Yes, you should love and enjoy working out, but don't love and enjoy the workout part of the workout. Love and enjoy the process of learning about your body and learning about what works for you. Yeah. Learn to love that instead of getting attached and married to a type of workout that someone introduced to you and you saw a bunch of results the first time, because that's everything new. That's a new stimulus. Guess what? When you learn how to stimulate your body all the time like that, you're going to break through all these fucking plateaus.
Next question is Zalesniak Vera.
Damn, you're good, Doug.
Yeah,
I could not.
Those are tough.
We got all the hard names today.
So does weighted cardio send a different signal to the body than classic cardio?
Yes, but not what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So
classic cardio. I don't know. I feel like it needs a jingle.
It does. Yeah. So it's different because it's different. So you do get a different signal because it is different. But is it the same in the sense that you're just asking your body to become more efficient burning calories? Yeah, it's the same in that sense. I can make anything cardio. So I can lift weights and send the signal for my body to be more efficient with calories and slow down the metabolism. I can do that with running. I can do that with swimming. I can do that with CrossFit. I can do that with any activity. I think she's referring to, because I've made a couple references, and then I did a post on Instagram about how cardio is a terrible way to lose weight, because it does tell the body become more efficient with your calories, aka slow down your metabolism. And the muscle fibers that get stressed the most with cardiovascular endurance type training also evolved to become better and stronger without getting bigger, because you don't want to get bigger, because that requires more energy, which is counter to having to, repetitively do this motion for long periods of time. So again, these type of activities, these endurance-based cardiovascular type activities, which include circuit training classes, boot camps, they include, doing tons of exercises back to back, even though it's weights. All of them are asking your body to become very, very efficient with calories and to gain lots of endurance, which means you're going to have a slower metabolism over a period of time.
It's interesting to think about, because I remember weighted vests were like really popular there for a minute, and I was thinking about that in terms of like the effectiveness of it, like what the way that I would use it. Like, let's say that I'm playing a sport, and how does that translate as far as like, okay, so if I'm having an extra loaded force, like going into these movements and trying to be explosive, is that really like a better idea of how to train, and prepare. I mean, maybe if I have somebody on my back, in the sport, and I'm trying to overcome that force based off of what I'm adapting to, or I'm wearing pads and I'm wearing a helmet and I'm trying to acclimate to
what you're going to actually have.
Yeah,
in the game.
what you're actually going to have versus I think what's interesting to me with the thought process with that is people just think that weighing yourself down more means it's better.
I rarely recommend weighted vest cardio, because if we look at cardiovascular activity, especially outdoor cardio activity like running and sprinting and drills, and if I consider all of the overuse injuries and all of the muscle imbalances that are created from them because people don't know how to run, people, when they get fatigued, they start creating bad recruitment patterns, and then those are the ones they strengthen.
Then waiting that just
throw a vest on someone, and you're just going to make it that much worse. Oh, my knees bother me when I run. Here, throw a vest on.
Well,
That's what's going to hurt more.
The reason why it's so similar is because you're either going to, if we're doing exercise, right, we're either going to be anaerobic or aerobic. And so whether you're in a weighted vest or not, you're doing an aerobic exercise. So you're basically using the same operating system.
You're just less efficient at the aerobic part.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's really the only difference is it's really not that, and what you're risking, like Sal is saying, as far as putting weight on your shoulders or back or what kind of vest or ankle weights or whatever the fuck you're using, you're only going to exaggerate any sort of imbalances that you have as you're running and heel striking like crazy over tons of repetitions as you fatigue. So not a smart way. And I think this is the mistake that people make in general with cardio is I think we attach cardio to fat loss, and so everybody thinks if I need to lose fat, that this is the way. And I think it was Melissa's interview we did, or maybe it was the one that I did the other day, where I talk about that this should be the last thing. It's like that secret weapon that we have. If your goal is fat loss and you want to know how to use cardio, then it should be the last resort, the last tool that you use. And so you should have already figured out everything as far as nutrition, weight training, your programming, all that stuff to get your body to manipulate and change. And then you've got this kind of cardio tool and all the different types of cardio, from HIIT to LIST to steady state. So you've got all these different types of tools that are similar that you can start to throw at the body as you start to see these plateaus and you progress through your weight loss journey.
Yeah, if you were to compare groups of people, and by the way, we're talking about just fat loss, okay? Because if you're trying to build stamina,
totally
endurance,
different. Health, different.
Definitely. If you want to build endurance, cardiovascular type training is got to be a part of your routine. If you want better health, some cardio is probably better for you than no cardio. It's definitely better for you than no cardio. You can overdo cardio just like you can overdo anything. But from a purely fat loss perspective, cardio is the worst. It's one of the worst forms of exercise. It does burn the most calories. Okay, so if you were just looking from a calorie burn perspective, while you're doing cardio, you are going to burn more calories in comparison to other forms of exercise.
And I got to stop you right there because I know there's a ton of people that are listening right now. They're going oh no, there's no way. That's bullshit. Because every time I've ever wanted to lose weight, I get on that treadmill and start running, and I lose weight faster than any other time. So people need to understand that.
That's why. So you do burn more calories while you do it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the problem. Over time, a relatively short period of time, your body starts to adapt to the energy demands that you're calling upon it while you're doing this activity. And it also wants to reduce its muscle mass because it doesn't need big, strong muscles to do cardiovascular activity. It just needs efficient muscles that can contract over and over again.
And technically, you run better, lighter.
You do, and there's slow, and it's just slow twitch muscle fibers don't really build that much. So your body adapts by slowing its metabolism down two different ways. Number one, you actually start to burn less calories during the activity. So if you take someone who is a runner and you have them run and you measure how many calories they're burning, and they're super fit, and then you have them go bike or swim, they'll probably burn more calories doing the activities that they're not accustomed to because their bodies have become so good at being efficient at the thing that they practice all the time. So that's number one. Number two, and this is proven in several studies, you will actually burn less calories throughout the day as well. Your metabolism will change the way it burns calories. It will change hormone profiles in extreme cases. But it also, believe it or not, if you do hard, intense cardio early in the day or whatever, you'll become less active throughout the day without realizing. Your body actually will lower its energy or lower your total activity as a result to try and compensate. Because remember, your body evolved through thousands of years of being exposed to scarcity with food, needing to become efficient in order to hunt and trek down animals. And they've done studies. There's the Hadza, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, the Hadza tribe, which is modern hunter-gatherers. They've done some studies on them, some pretty incredible ones, and they found that these modern hunter-gatherers didn't burn that many more calories than the average couch potato. Now, they're far more active, but it's because their body's adapted to that activity, and it makes sense. Again, you imagine if your body, imagine if I did cardio today and I got my calorie burn to 4,000 calories. That is not a good thing from an evolutionary standpoint. My body would want to adapt because how am I going to get 4,000 calories
every single day?
Every single day in nature just doesn't work. Resistance training does the opposite. Resistance training speeds up the metabolism as a side effect because the signal you're sending when you lift weights is we need strength, we need muscle, and that is more important than being efficient with calories because that's the signal that we're constantly sending. So if you lift weights and you do it properly over time, maybe not in the short term. In the short term, lifting weights won't make you lose weight as fast as cardio, okay? In the medium and long term, it's far more effective to the point where, like we just had a competitor that Adam was training who was 100 and something, like 14 pounds, tiny girl, walked into a competition eating 1,600 calories. Leading up to the competition, she was eating as much as 2,600 calories, which is more than a lot of men can eat. And her competitors were probably consuming closer to 1,000 calories, all because her metabolism was kept, burning hot. So I guess that's a long-winded way to answer this question.
Next question is from Bitch Can Move.
I like when Doug cusses.
Snap. Yeah. Most overrated and underrated foods.
Ooh, this is kind of a cool one.
Yeah.
I'm going to think about this for a minute. Most overrated and underrated. For sure, overrated, first one that comes to mind, tilapia. Tilapia has to be the most...
What? Who the hell rates it highly?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? It's like a staple meal for every
bodybuilder. For bodybuilding? Yeah.
Everybody.
I was thinking in terms of taste.
No.
It's rated for shit.
I think that's what they're... I'm thinking, when I think overrated and underrated, I'm not thinking at all about food. I'm thinking about what people rant and rave, talk all about, or press like foods.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking along those lines, and the things
thins the skin.
Right. Tilapia is the most overrated food that people use. It was a joke too that Melissa and I, when we were going through, she was like, "Hey, you know what? You never asked me to eat fish, or I never had to eat tilapia." I'm like, "Yeah, because you never said you wanted it. So you don't have to use tilapia to get super shredded. It doesn't work that way." So that's an overrated one. Another overrated one is the Pop-Tart crave. It was so funny. I had not had a Pop-Tart since I was probably 10 years old. Or
they don't taste good.
Cardboard.
They don't taste good.
And everybody was posting about it like crazy while I was competing. I was like, okay, I've got to try one of these. I've got to try one of these.
Strudel.
And what I ended up noticing was I remember trying to eat one and thinking like, what the fuck? This is like cardboard. And then I did it again. And then I caught myself starting to crave them. And I was like, man, this is what's happened. You get all these guys popping these Pop-Tarts before they go. And then I found myself like, I can't believe that my body wants this fucking shitty piece of cardboard. Because I remember the first time I put it in my mouth, I'm like, this is terrible. And then I remember the second time I did it. And then I remembered, oh, wow, now my body wants to do it. So I think that's another overrated food that's out there. What's another one that I see lots of people doing that's crazy? You know what I haven't had? And I just haven't had a desire is the chicken and waffles. Chicken and waffles I hear so many people talk about, and I've just never thought I want fried chicken on my waffles.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah, it's pretty good. But it's like you can eat it and then it just destroys you immediately. So it's not worth it.
You get the shits
it's
right
not
away.
worth
Well,
it.
that's what I think about, right? I think like, I don't know. That just sounds like it's going to tear my stomach.
It's not even worth it. Yeah.
Overrated. This is easy. Okay, along those lines of like, for health and stuff like that and fitness. Easy. This is easy for me. And they're both the same food. Overrated egg whites. Completely overrated because it's protein.
That's
and
another
clean
great.
and whatever.
Yeah, that is a great one.
Whatever.
You got companies after you for that one.
Underrated egg yolks. Egg yolks are very, very good for muscle building. In particular, first of all, it's very high in nutrients, but it's also got some cholesterol, which will help you build muscle. And if you start throwing some egg yolks in there, watch what happens to your strength gain. So that's an easy underrated form. Another underrated food is organ meats. Organ meats like liver, kidney, heart. Nobody eats them, but they are easily the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. You cannot find a food that's higher in certain key minerals, like a liver. I mean, these organ meats are so prized by, hunter-gatherer societies and modern ones even that's the first thing that they eat or they use as a gift. Like if they make a successful hunt, they'll cut the liver or the heart out and they'll offer it as like this very prestigious gift to, a guest or whatever. They're extremely healthy for you as well. As far as taste stuff is concerned, overrated donuts. Fucking overrated. Yeah, they're good, dude, but they're not that good. Like everybody relax.
Feel like shit immediately.
Yeah, like it's not like the greatest thing.
I would definitely agree with that.
In the world.
The donuts and the Pop-Tarts I did not introduce them into my life.
Pizookie though.
Until I had Pop-Tarts or donuts seriously since I was like probably 10 years old. No joke. Years went by not having donuts or Pop-Tarts in my diet at all. And when I got into competing, those two things are like, those are the foods, dude. Like Pop-Tarts and donuts. And because I was around it so much, I got to the point where I was like, well, I'm a grown-ass adult. I can fucking have a donut if I want one, right? And I remember catching myself having this like conversation, right? Like, okay, Adam, you can have a donut. Because, I'm going to have a donut. Like, and then I have this donut and I'm like, it really was not that good, that satisfying. I end up I get stomach aches afterwards. And then you do it enough times, and it's funny to watch how the body kind of adapts, get used to it, and then all of a sudden you start to find yourself craving it. And then you see what all these people are hooked into,
I never understood the Krispy Kreme thing either.
I was around that too, because when I was in Chicago, there was a bunch of those.
Too sweet for me.
Oh my God, my roommates in college were like, they would go there late at night when they'd throw them away, and so they would go like clean house and they'd get like 5 dozens in a bag and, pass them out on campus.
Well,
it was gross.
We have friends of ours that's connected to Mind Pump that, talk a lot about donuts and their love for donuts and they eat donuts all the time and their justification of doing that is, showing people that you can have a healthy, fit life while also having your donut every once in a while. And I would challenge that way of thinking and, ask yourself about your relationship with that food and this is coming from somebody who I watched this happen. Like I'll be the first one. I was eating donuts when I was competing. I was eating donuts. And right before that, I hadn't had donuts for 15 plus years. Yeah. And so really I saw, whoa, how much these things were made to get me to crave them and want more of them. I went years without having them. It wasn't like I had this connection I need to, but then all of a sudden you start to.
So now you're fitting it into your diet.
Right.
It's like, I never even had these.
Right. I lived years not having it. And so it took me a little while after competing to get out of eating any of those foods. It's now been years.
You know what? I gotta go kind of on a different sort of direction, like as far as what sort of mom and dad sort of crowd think is healthy and what is like way overrated in my opinion. So just in terms of like snacks or like, health foods and like, so for instance, like making salads, like, so you go to somebody's house and they make you a salad and it's like iceberg lettuce.
Yeah, so like, here's your vegetables.
Like celery.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
And I'm like, what the fuck? There's like no nutrients in it at all. It's all water. It's same thing with watermelon. Like bringing that, and they're just like hyping the fact that it's fruit, man. It's fruit. It's so good for you. I'm like, there's nothing in here. Like, I'm not getting shit from
Justin's
this.
like, why don't you just give me a glass of water, you bitch?
Exactly. It's like, just give me a little bit of water and some fructose.
Give me a glass of water, the same thing.
It's like so fucking ridiculous.
No, you made a good point, Adam, because think about it this way. This is actually kind of mind-blowing. We all can think of that one food that if someone told us we could never eat again, we'd be like, oh no, I can never eat again. It's not really the food. There's not a single food that I've ever eaten in my entire life where, if I'm being totally objective, if I eat it and it's fucking life-changing, like I can never have this food again. It's because of the emotional connection to some food. So if someone told me you can never have, lasagna ever again, I would suck because I grew up eating lasagna. It's not because, and lasagna is delicious, but it's not. I've never had a food that was so good it's like someone telling me I can never have sex again, or you know what I mean?
Right.
There really isn't any foods that exist like that.
There's a lot of people that would, like have these sort of feelings.
That's because there's an emotional connection.
100% there is. There's so many good foods out there that most of us won't even experience all of them in our entire lifetime.
I got a good one.
So I find it fascinating when we attach ourselves to these foods and we try and justify it with our exercise and being healthy, fit people that, hey, you too. Again, why we went on quite some time there. We're beating up IIFYM, and it's been a while since we beat them up, but this is a good time to beat them up some more. This is the problem that I have with it, because I think that it promotes these bad relationships with food, and nobody wants to admit it. Like, that's, I'm not saying that the structure of it and learning how to count your macros. No, if you fucking are still hung up on us talking about this and that's all you see, like, you're an idiot. It's not that. It's the relationship that you're teaching yourself, this, reward, take away relationship with certain foods, and, I'm going to eat a certain way so I could fit this food into my macros. It's like, what does that say? Like, if you are so attached to a food, you've got to eat, you have to plan your day and exercise around fitting it into your macros. What does that say about your relationship?
Unhealthy relationships occur out of that.
Right.
You're exercising to, burn excess amount just to justify the shitty foods, and then having the shitty foods enter into your diet.
You're actually making it a much bigger deal than it is what's happening. Here's a good underrated food that just came to mind. When we were kids, anytime a kid on TV or a cartoon character or whatever got served a food from their parents or whatever that they didn't like, what was the vegetable that they always talked about was gross?
Broccoli or
Brussels sprouts.
spinach.
Oh, Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts.
Oh, no, Brussels sprouts are so good.
When I was a kid, we never really ate Brussels sprouts when I was a kid in my family.
Yeah.
But I knew that they were gross because everybody on TV said, Brussels sprouts are so underrated. Brussels sprouts are fucking delicious.
Well,
if you make them the right
As
way,
I
they're
say,
one of my
if you
favorite
make them
vegetables.
the right way, because as kids, my experience when I was younger with Brussels sprouts were always like steamed with nothing on them. They are bitter like that, which now brings me to another underrated food, butter. And
I'll eat the fuck out of butter.
I did not eat butter for a very, very long time, and I also didn't eat a lot of vegetables. And my food profile is like flipped on its head compared to what it was just 5 years ago. Like, I eat completely different than when I used to eat. And butter is a part of that reason, because I've now found all of these great recipes with things like you just mentioned, Brussels sprouts and baby spinach and broccoli and asparagus. Like, I'll eat the shit out of a bowl of vegetables that is flavored up with good fats and stuff on
Throw
it, like
some bacon in there.
using some olive oil and balsamic vinegar and butter and things like that on a big plate of vegetables that's done up like that with like a good fatty piece of meat or lean meat. Oh man!
Do you guys remember the?
You know what is gross though?
What?
Lima beans.
Really?
Yeah. They might not be now, but I mean, I had them growing up. My grandma would make them for me.
I like them on my salad.
You don't like them? Do you guys remember? I don't remember where we were, but remember that dish of Brussels sprouts that Doug made?
Yes, that was at the house.
God damn, that was good.
He sent Katrina and I on a kick. That's a staple meal now.
What did you put in that, Doug? It was so.
I know what that is. That's the recipe we make all the time. He's got balsamic in there. He's got ghee. He has bacon and. We have balsamic, bacon, ghee. What else am I missing, Doug?
Shallots, walnuts.
That's right, walnuts and shallots.
God, that was
that was so good.
I can't wait till we start making recipes.
So we take
for people.
that recipe and because it has balsamic in it, we make this bison recipe that has like a balsamic type of a sauce and balsamic mushroom and something and garlic and something else base. So we do the bison and those Brussels sprouts, and it's that's a staple meal that we you know what, this is the type of stuff I would not have ate that 2-3 years ago. So back to what we originally started with, like donuts, because I want to address the people that attach themselves to these meals and that I'll never not eat pizza or I'll never eat donuts or it's just that's got to be in there. You got to find a way in there. It's like, again, address your relationship with that. No one's telling you can't have great foods. There's again so many great foods out there. You'll probably never experience all of them in your entire life. So instead of being hung up and attached to this one thing that you think that you love so much, if you really evaluate how you feel after you consume it, you probably don't love it that much. You've just attached yourself to it. And for some reason, now you're scheduling your macros and your workout, or you're calling it a cheat day and you're justifying it because you had 5-6 good days of eating all week long, and now you just fuck off the entire day. So again, not addressing the root cause of what's really going on.
Next question is from Jimmy Rokel. What are your views and thoughts on Western medical practices, including surgeries? Gallbladder removal surgery is estimated to be over $700,000 in the United States and is one of the most profitable. Oftentimes, it is truly unnecessary, but the doctors insist on removing it. Can you guys talk about different approaches other than surgery? I understand sometimes surgery is necessary, but believe more holistic approaches are needed for cases that aren't quite as serious.
Typical.
You know what this reminds me of what it's like being a trainer, okay? And I know right now that we're sponsored by Organifi, and for many episodes we've talked about that's not a priority when you first start. There's other bigger rocks first. Yet I still think that it can benefit some people that are not getting enough nutrients. Like, for example, like I have seen a big difference myself because I don't consistently get my vegetables as much as I do like them and try to get 4 to 6 servings every day. It's just a fact I don't. So supplementing with the Organifi green juice has been a game changer for me. But is it necessary? Probably not as necessary. Is there other things that people should focus on first? When I get into these surgeries, I think the same way with some of these surgeries. Sure, they can help that person out. It's one of those things I feel doctors can recommend because they know it won't hurt them. It's like, oh, we could have them do this and they can still.
It's a fix of some sort.
Right. It's a fix of some sort, but it's really not addressing the root cause of why.
Dude, it's typical old school Western medicine. The attitudes are starting to change, but it's typical in the sense that, oh, you have a problem here, cut it out. Cut it out. Yeah. Oh, it looks like you're okay without
your
it.
Back hurts, surgery.
Yeah, so it looks like you're okay without that. Therefore, we probably don't need it in the first place. And this was the attitude. So
it's like wisdom teeth, tonsils.
Think about wisdom teeth is one of my favorites. They say we don't need wisdom teeth. They're bad for you in your mouth.
Yeah.
Right now, just so you guys know too, right now we have a dentist who because we have tons of dentists that listen to us that are going like, you motherfucker.
Good, bring it.
He's going to say, and this happens to us every show that we do this.
Yeah, you make a lot of money off of it.
Somebody sends something to prove, this and
I
that.
had mine removed.
Okay. It's like that.
So we wouldn't have evolved if wisdom teeth were so dangerous and bad for us. We wouldn't have evolved with them. It would have caused us problems. In fact, tooth decay or anything with your teeth, if you're, evolving through most of human civilization, you would have died. You would have died with bad teeth. That would have been a major problem. So we evolved with wisdom teeth. They fit fine in our mouths, and we use them. But the reason why many times we don't have room for them or there's infection is just because we have shitty fucking lifestyles. Bad diets. There's been some studies have shown that grain-heavy diets or poor diets cause the development of the mouth to be too small or crowded. Kids with braces and crooked smiles. Actually, if you look at the studies of Weston A. Price, who was a dentist that traveled the world, he noticed that modern hunter-gatherers all had these incredibly clean, straight teeth. None of them brushed their teeth. There were no braces, and he couldn't figure out why. And he ended up, deducing that it was their diet. They ate very, very healthy diets, and that caused their teeth to develop in very good, straight ways. They didn't need the removal of, like I said, their wisdom teeth. Same thing with the gallbladder and the appendix and the tonsils. Tonsils, for example. Kids would get an infection, remove them, kid gets much better, boom, let's give everybody, let's remove tonsils like crazy. The tonsils serve a function. They do help prevent certain germs from getting into the body. I've
always wondered, because I had mine taken out when I was like 7 years old. I've always wondered if that's part of the reason why I get sick all the time, easier than the average person. I always thought there was some sort of a correlation to that.
Well, I mean, appendix is another one. Like the appendix, it stores good bacteria. Why would we have that? Well, if you get a very bad gastrointestinal disease, you get, dysentery, whatever, flushes your body out of all of its bacteria. How do you repopulate your body with your good bacteria? Well, your appendix stores it. Same thing with, the gallbladder, with gallbladder stones. Like, the problem is when we tell people, we have two options. Either it's change your lifestyle. Okay, so if you have like appendicitis and it's acute and it's going to rupture, yes, remove it because it could kill you. But there's studies that now show that mild cases of appendicitis can be treated with antibiotics. They don't need to get it removed, and then it just look at your lifestyle. Same thing with the gallbladder. The problem is when you tell people to change their lifestyle versus we can just cut it out and then you'll be fine, what do you think most people are going to want? You know what I'm saying? Most people will be like, well, just cut it out.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, okay, you have gallbladder stones. Let's look at your lifestyle. Let's look at your diet. You eat like this. Let's change that. Let's add probiotics. Let's, your diet is too heavy in processed foods, and maybe you should move more and exercise more. And people will be like, that's too much stuff. Why don't you just cut it out so that I don't even have to worry about it?
And that's how I feel even like the supplementation game is. It's like instead of like addressing what you probably need to get into your diet, using something like a green juice or a supplement to supplement it in emergencies when you need it versus, oh, I'll just fucking cut it out, do it. Oh, I'll just take the pill or I'll just take this because I'm too lazy to do that. No doubt in my mind that whole foods are a better route than taking any supplement. I don't care how organic or how great it is, but hey, in reality, you're not always going to be able to get all of your vitamins and minerals. So here's a great option, and
and that's what surgery should be. I think in the same category. But think about it this way: if something you're doing with your lifestyle is causing you to have gallbladder issues, and you remove the gallbladder, you may have solved the symptom, which is gallbladder stones, right? But you have not fixed the root problem or the root cause. Right. Does that mean that now you've eliminated all symptoms from the problem? No. Some of the other symptoms may be much more subtle, may take much longer to manifest in your body. And if you don't address that root problem, you may cause health problems in the future or other side effects that may seem more subtle or more chronic that you don't necessarily connect, or it may cause a problem with things you can't cut out. You may have a systemic autoimmune issue now that you can't just remove. And then of course, when you remove these things, you are going to change the way your body works. With the gallbladder, for example, because that's the example they gave, you're not going to produce bile the same way when you eat high fatty foods, and you may have to take digestive enzymes every time you eat a meal that's high in fat. And I know people like this. I know people who've had their gallbladder removed, and when they go out to eat, they take their digestive enzymes because now they have to supplement to give their body what their.
It's crazy that we are this way with the human body, but we aren't this way with anything else. Like we only treat our human body like this. Like even the way it's something as simple as like a fucking car, we treat a car better. A car comes in and the left-right tire, right, is
worn out more than the other.
Yeah, the left rear tire is worn out more on the inside. And if you had this way of thinking, if we treated our car the same way we treat our bodies that come into, because it's like your doctor, your mechanic, right? So if we treated the same way, the mechanic would say, "Here's a new tire." Here's a new tire.
And keep doing that.
And just keep doing that. Here's a new tire. It's like, well, wait a second. Why does it keep getting wore down more than all the other three tires that I have to keep replacing this tire at a faster rate?
And think of all the other things.
It's easier and the mechanic would make more money doing that.
They would. And it's also, think of all the other things that are going to be affected in the car from whatever's causing it to do that may be more subtle, that may take longer to manifest. And the human body is many, 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 millions of times more complex than a car. So, now try to connect the dots. It's very, very difficult. But if you have these outward symptoms, try to identify what may be causing them. And it's typically not just one thing, it's many things. And then you won't have to be in this position. But I will say this, Western medicine is starting to change now. They are starting to learn. They don't remove tonsils at nearly the rate that they used to. They don't remove appendixes at nearly the rate they used to. If it's mild enough, sometimes they will prescribe antibiotics and then, have you change a few things. Same thing with the gallbladder. There are procedures now where they can actually go in and zap the stones so they don't have to remove your gallbladder.
I experienced a little bit of this when I went through my knee surgery. I had torn my ACL and MCL, and it's crazy because I remember getting the MRI and I still had kind of swelling going on. And so there's a lot of uncertainties to how much damage was going on in there. And I remember like how quick they are to want to go under the knife because that's like an instant $30,000 to $40,000. Like we're going to cut you open. You may not need the surgery because we don't know yet until we get in there, because it looks like it could be intact still, but it may not be intact still because it's still really swollen. And it's like there's this push to do the surgery because it's like they know as soon as they get under the knife, it's $30,000. And what ends up happening, I know, and I would love to look at the stat, and I'm sure there's a stat for this, on how many knee surgeries where they don't even actually replace anything. They go under, they open it up, they go to do orthoscopic surgery and realize that, 3/4 of his MCL is still intact, and you don't do anything with that. You scope it out, you clean it up a little bit, then you sew them back up, but then you bill them for $30,000-$40,000 because that's what it costs to do this shit, and your insurance gets charged. It's a fucking hustle. Yeah. It becomes like, it no longer becomes about what is potentially best for the patient right now. And it's like, what can I do safely that I can get the most amount of money out of them is really what it's more about. It's like, oh, okay, I can get rid of their gallbladder. They don't really need
Some
that.
of the responsibility goes to the patient too.
All
of it, because it is our responsibility.
But think about it this way:
do our own homework, ask the right questions.
You're a surgeon. You've got Mr. Johnson, who's 50 pounds overweight, he's got poor recruitment patterns, has knee pain, and you say, look, here's your two options. Option one, we're going to work on your nutrition. You're going to need to change that. We need you to lose 50 pounds. We're going to take about a year to do it. I want you to see a trainer 2 days a week to correct muscle imbalances so that you walk differently, so that your knee stops hurting and that your hips are functioning better. Right. Or option two, I'm going to go in there and scope it, and 2 months later, it's not going to hurt anymore. Which one do you think a lot of people are going to pick?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's both sides. It's both sides that we're dealing with.
But then you're going to look long term, and then you didn't fix any of those recruitment patterns. Therefore, you're going to get the same wear and tear down the road. It's inevitable. So,
and then we're gonna have to do another surgery.
Yeah. So, and you see multiple surgeries happen as a result of this as well, because people don't really understand the fact that what caused the injury in the first place.
Well, it's crazy that we even let it get that far. It's crazy that we let it get that far, and then that we actually even give that as an option. Because if you're being true to yourself, and I remember when we talked to Dr. Mercola, he talks about this as a physician. There becomes a point where, you question, you ask yourself, like, am I going to be in the business of truly trying to help and help progress medicine and help people, or am I going to be in the business of making a business for myself? I mean, you really have to ask that, which is very similar to our profession, right? It's not much different. At one point, we all had to look at ourselves and say, listen, are we in this to make money? Because if we're in this to make money, these are much better routes than the route we're going right now. It's like, so you have to ask yourself, like, what is it that you really want to do? And if you're somebody who really wants to, and I think you as a patient you have to search for this. You have to look for this. Like, what are the motives behind this person that's helping me right now? Are they looking just to get me under the knife? Are they looking just to make $30,000, $40,000? Or are they giving me the information that I really need about my body and then helping me come to that conclusion?
Dude, I had a client come to me who had carpal tunnel syndrome, and her husband was my client. So he brought her. She was going to get carpal tunnel surgery on her wrist, and she was going to do it in I think it was 2 months or something like that. And the reason why she had to wait was she didn't want to take the time off because she had to take time off work. So she said, I'll wait 60 days. He convinced her to come see me. And when she sat down with me, I said, well, I didn't want to tell her I could fix it because I didn't know what I could, if I could or I couldn't. But I did say, hey, at the least what we could do is we could strengthen you enough so that when you do go under the knife, that the atrophy of your muscles and stuff doesn't affect you as negatively. Within fucking 30 days, her pain was gone. She didn't get the surgery anymore. Yeah. And I have a lot of examples of that. So
I know.
It's crazy. Check it out. Go to YouTube, subscribe to our channel. It recently got ranked #1 in the universe by Mind Pump. We did our own test. We gave it #1. It's Mind Pump TV. That's the channel. Also, if you go to mindpumpmedia.com, you can enroll in our 30 days of coaching for free.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, And you can get it now, plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.